I push this button. Dream.
Well, now I'm worn out because I was getting my groove on to the opening.
I know, right? I'm always all.
Yeah.
Hey,
All right,
good evening,
welcome.
everybody. It's Ron here in Las Vegas again, and as always, I have with me
His older brother Mike here in Amarillo, and good to have you with us here tonight.
Speaking of older brother,
what?
It's a good segue into what our conversation is going to be about.
Very good. Let's see if I can get to it. Yeah.
So Mike and I were talking yesterday or the day before, about what to talk about. And Mike had brought up the suggestion of mortality. And at first I was kind of like, okay. But then the more I saw about it, the more I thought about it, it just made my mind go like 100 miles an hour, because that's a pretty deep topic to talk about, Mike.
It can be. I think it can be. I thought about it because, back, and we keep saying back in the day when we were younger, and I think it happens to all of us, whether you're Gen X, baby boomer, Gen Z, it should be impacting everybody. But when you're younger, there's always tomorrow. Hey, man, after we've done something for the day, on the Debonair gang. All right, guys, I'll see you tomorrow. Because tomorrow always came. Yeah. Lately, I've kind of been thinking, oh no. What if tomorrow doesn't come?
The old Garth Brooks song, if tomorrow never comes.
Right. So,
I agree. I'm sorry, but I agree, but where it sent my mind was exactly what you're saying, Mike. Because I remember as a kid thinking, people our age should have been dead. When I was, in my teens and 20s, I thought people in their 50s and 60s were like, pushing a wheelchair or in a wheelchair and got one foot in the grave. And it reminds me of a funny story. When I was probably my early to mid 20s, I used to always stretch and I mean, like, oh, Lordy, I feel like I'm 40. Well, now that I'm almost 56, it's not funny anymore.
Now I stretch and think, I wish I was 40.
Absolutely, man.
I call people, look, I call 40-year-olds kids now.
Kids, I do too. I'm the whole time like, this kid that works for me, I'm like, oh shit, that kid's like 42 years old, but
right?
Still a kid.
When did we become that years old? Like,
but it got me thinking, Mike, when you were talking about mortality, what it really means, and the simplistic term of mortality means just that. It's the state of being mortal, which means that we're destined to die. I mean, we're destined to die the second we're born.
Boom.
And you can take that into a doctor's version of it, where they can talk about mortality rate, and then you almost feel like a statistic. Hispanics only have a mortality rate of such and such. Caucasians have a mortality rate of such and such. You get categorized and canned into what your freaking expiration date is.
Right?
And
that's actually a good point. Thank God we're not born with expiration date stamped on us. I don't want to fucking know.
And that, dude, you were thinking right what I was thinking. I'm like, it made my mind go to, would I want to know?
Right.
And hell no, I would not want to know. Because you know how different you would live your life if you knew.
I think it's I think that's the overall question of life. If you knew all the answers, if you had questions about life, say your mortality, your death is what we're talking about. If you knew when and how, it would absolutely change the way you live.
Absolutely.
And I that's why I'm glad I don't know. I've had friends that have passed, and let's take Dad for example. When Dad was diagnosed, actually years before he was diagnosed, he lived under the auspices that no man in his family lived past the age of 67.
Yeah.
And I was up there one time, and this is well long before the diagnosis. And I was up there, what we were doing, I don't know, but we were sitting around the house talking, and he laid that crap on me, and it pissed me off. I said,
Yeah.
man, here. I said, Daddy, draw a line in the damn sand. And here's what I want you to do. Draw the line in the sand and say, the men dying on my side of the family at the age of 67 stops with me. Start a
Right.
new tradition. Why don't you live to 80, 85, and let's move it forward from there. But get that out of your mind.
Yeah, that sounds more like an excuse, almost like, well, I lived to 67, so I'm only going to blah blah blah. Well, no, because
Right.
I mean, same thing on the the Hispanic side of my family. We didn't usually make it past 70, 71 years old. And yeah, I don't want to be that statistic. I don't want to be known as that, categorized as a group. If when it's my time, when God says it's time for me to go, that's when it's time for me to go. I'll do my best to make sure it's not any time before that. But I'll accept what I'm given. But the thing, you hit it earlier, Mike, when you said when we're younger, you don't have that train of thought. You don't think that way.
No.
Every tomorrow is almost a given when you're that age, even though I know it's not. But you don't have that train of thought of, I can trip and fall, break something, and potentially die.
Wasn't it us that was last week? And I'm at that age now, because between this and the radio show and everything else, I can't remember where I talk about shit. So I don't know if it was you and I last week, but we were kind of talking about that one as well, is mortality and not wanting to no dates. Anyway, I'm losing my train of thought. See, I'm that old. What were you just talking about? I walked into the kitchen and forgot what the fuck I was talking about.
Old.
That makes me so. Huh?
No, last week was Chucker, and I about pissed
myself.
It
was Chucker. Forget to tell Steve, man.
No, we were talking about mortality and about knowing when you're going to pass away, when you're going to die, and being categorized in a group of how long you're going to live.
Yeah, but something you just said a minute ago got me onto that weird tangent where I walked into the kitchen and forgot what I was talking about.
Yeah, well, it happens at your age. But anyway, yeah, subtle, very subtle.
It's an aviary. Look, there's a bird.
Yeah. But I think Ken Hall and I talked about that one time when he was here in Vegas visiting me, and you and I kind of joked about it before too, Mike. Of as you get older, your conversations change, and you start talking about, glipizide. I take glipizide. I take 10 milligrams. How much do you take? Oh, mine's only 5 milligrams. And that's your topic of conversation. That and weather. That's just a broad spectrum. That's all some people talk about is the weather. So today it's going to be 67 today.
Yeah.
Last year it was only 62. But yeah, it's hard to grasp mortality. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this, and I don't want anybody to take it in a bad way, but for some reason at this stage in my life, death doesn't really scare me right now. I don't know why. I just have this kind of like calm about me.
Yeah.
Almost like I know it's not my time, but I know it's going to be here. Honestly, Mike and I were joking backstage is, it's going to be sooner than later.
Oh yeah. I mean, hell, we're staring right at it. I mean, look, dude, when mom and dad were in their 30s and 40s, I thought they were going to die. I thought they were old. I thought, God, poor mom and dad, they're in their 40s. We're all going to be orphans here pretty soon. What will Don, Ronnie, and I do? We're mom and dad. I mean, and now that I'm 62, I'm thinking, well, shit, I think I got this thing. And look, it could happen tomorrow. It could happen 10 years from now.
Right.
I don't let it control me, but look, I also don't ignore it. What it does for me, though, what my mortality now does for me is I think it is actually providing the impetus to get some stuff done that I've been putting off.
Sure.
One is, the book writing thing. I'm working on one now that is already about 3 times as long as the first one, and is a hell of a lot deeper than I really intended to go with it. But yeah, the book writing, that's what my mortality is doing to me right now. Is it's causing me to really focus on getting stuff done, because whereas, when we were 13, 14 years old and we were confident that tomorrow was going to come, today I understand, it doesn't come with a guarantee. I'm sure it's going to be here, but I still have to make sure I'm getting shit taken care of.
Well, and hey, what's up, Sister Dawn? That kind of brings up another subject for those of you that don't know mine and my wife's situation. We adopted our youngest granddaughter, so we're in our 50s raising a kid. We've had her since she was 18 months old. She's 9 now, and I think that's kind of why I have an understanding of why people have kids in their 20s and 30s, because I feel bad for this kid, Mike, because I'm always tired. I'm always working, and she's going 100 miles an hour. I'm going 10, and I just, I so badly want to have that energy level that I used to have when like Ron Jr. was that age, but hell, he's 34 years old now. And I'm like, man. And so there's a great sense of mortality right there, man. I don't have it anymore.
I'm on the remembratory page, and there seems to be someone passing.
Absolutely, Rich. Yeah. I agree 100%. And it's like, like here in Vegas, there's 2.4 million people that live in Vegas, but it's a very small town. Everybody knows everybody. I was involved in the casino industry for a long time, the law enforcement side for a long time. So I know a lot of people, and you lose track of them. And then you go back to get back in touch with them. Like, oh yeah, he passed away 3 years ago. Oh yeah, she passed away 5 years ago. And it's just like, holy fuck, man, what's happening? That's a great point, Rich.
Very good. I love how you said, in my mind, I'm still 19. Totally there, man. Ron and I talk about it all the time. When I think of the Debonair gang, in my mind, they're all still 14, 15, 16 years old.
I saw a picture of Sybil Lasha, or back then Sybil Hall, on one of her, I think her Facebook page or something. And I had to look a few times because, like you said, Mike, in my mind, she's still this 16, 17-year-old kid. And, now here we all are, adults with kids and grandkids. Right. And, shit, some of us probably damn near going to be pushing great grandkids before too long.
Shut up.
Hey, Karen, that's my friend, Karen Burris. She's been a longtime friend.
Hi, Karen.
And Karen, I don't want to tell your whole situation a lot, but Karen lost her husband, I believe it was 5 years ago, and so that's another thing that it just, mortality has a way of affecting not just you and your immediate family, but a bunch of people. Because her husband was a friend of mine, and it affects a lot of people.
Right. Rich, whoa, slow down. Great gift. Thank you, Rich. Because some of us are a little closer to that than others.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I don't know how old you. Rich, do you have grandkids, Rich? I don't know. But I look at it. My oldest granddaughter is going to be 14 years old here pretty soon. I'm just like,
yeah.
Good Lord, weren't you just like 2?
You may beat me to great grandpa. We'll see.
I don't know, man. Yeah.
We're talking about our mortality. Let's talk about the Debonair gang, or just even when you're 13, 14. Did you ever freaking stop for a minute when we would be grandparents? Did this ever cross your mind?
You know what, Mike? I'm going to tell you something, dude. When you propped this up to me the other day, the first thing that popped in my mind was mortality. Well, fuck, I'm surprised I'm still alive now at my age. I thought I would have been dead like 10 years ago.
I'm shocked God's let me get to this point. You must not.
And then we did have an episode, Mike, where we talked about that, about shit that we did. We were kids. How are we still alive? And yeah, that's par for the course with that, man. We were kids. We did dumb shit. And in my mind, living to my age is like I championed something.
Yeah, it's a trophy. I made it to 62, and I kid you not, Ronnie. We all know, we all did. If you're a part of the Debonair gang, we all did stupid shit. We all did things we probably shouldn't live through, but we learned from it. So, but it does take me back to when we were that age. Did you ever once? Because I never thought about being a grandparent.
No.
Maybe subconsciously, I was already considering mortality. I was like, yeah, I'm going to live that though. I'm not going to live that long anyway. So screw it. You know, what's the old saying? Live fast and leave a pretty corpse. Karen, I hope for your friend Karen, listen, I hope the memories he left you certainly fill the downtimes.
Well, let me tell you a quick story about Bob, who was her husband. He was an interesting guy. He was one of the last stories he told one of my employees. His name is also Ron. We call him Big Ron. We used to detail their cars when I had my detailing business, and Ron called me laughing. I said, "What?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Yeah, Bob's telling me this story about, he got in a fight with these 3 guys in a bar." He goes, he pulled all 3 of them out in the back alley thinking they're going to beat up on this old man, and he whooped the shit out of all 3 of them, walked back in the bar and had a beer.
Go, man. That's awesome.
That's just the kind of guy he was,
That's
very,
awesome.
very straightforward, very no bullshit in this guy, about to have
twin grandkids in June. Man. Oh my. We got a lot of comments. I got to hustle here.
She's still intimidated.
Sybil still intimidated Dawn.
Sybil.
She said she had an interview with Sybil at a nonprofit.
Splibble.
Our grandson Cohen's going to be 12 in April.
Get the hell out of here.
Okay.
I think the last time I saw him was
show by yourself.
Yeah, we were
12 years, there. Man. And I think our granddaughter is going to be 10 here pretty soon.
Wow.
Welcome to the club, old man.
Yeah, right, man. Rich, welcome to the club. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Matt too, yeah. Well, and the thing is, interesting is an understatement.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
Everybody needs a rock, Karen. Everybody needs a rock.
Yeah, but he was a hell of a guy, man. Matt and I are, what are we, Matt? About three months apart in age. And so when we were kids, being the same age, we spent a lot of time together, and never was there a time where Matt and I sat down and said, "Hey, Matt, you looking forward to having grandkids?"
I mean, where does this conversation start? Hey, man, you want to go up to the 7-Eleven and get a couple of ices? Yeah. You ever thought about when you're going to be a grandpa?
Yeah, pass me that joint. Only if you tell me how many grandkids you're going to have.
Spark up that J and let's talk about being grandparents. Okay, you party pooper.
What do you want your grandkids to call you? Papa,
Here,
Daddy,
you just
Dada.
keep this one to yourself. Oh God.
You know what, Rich? It never sets in, dude. It's like, I hate to say it, but it's kind of like death. You can plan for it your whole life, but you're never really prepared for it, whether it's you or somebody else. Having grandkids is the same thing. But I will tell you, and it's the old cliche, you love them more than your own kids. My son will see the way.
I think it's absolutely true.
Yeah. My son will come to my house and see the way I'm with my granddaughter that we adopted. And he's like, where the fuck were you when I was that age?
Did you feel that way sometimes with Dad? I felt that way with him, with Michael at times. It's like,
yeah.
Where was this when we were kids?
It's a whole different thing, man. It's a whole different mojo.
I mean, it's thinking back to Dad. It's a great study in the change of life. Now, I don't know until he was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, pancreatic cancer. Prior to that, I don't know if Dad, and he obviously thought about his mortality because he didn't expect to live past 67. But I think once he got over that part of it, once we drew the line in the sand, he changed. But it was funny because he changed to the point where it literally pissed me off. Because whenever I was around Dad, and I know Ronnie was the same way, I was still a kid and he was still
absolutely.
Dad. And, I tried to be careful of the things I said and did. But then other kids would come over and, he'd play with them and I'd just be nice and gentle. I'm going, what the fuck, Hover? Where was this guy when we were kids? I mean, literally, because I became a
where's
kid.
the belt? Where's the paddle, old man?
I'll go back to being a kid. It's like, you like him better than you like me. You ever have that when you're younger? You have a friend. For me, it was probably Randy Hyatt, and I was convinced Dad liked. I was actually convinced Dad wished Randy was his kid.
So I'm going. It reminds me of a quick story. Ryan was right because he fixed everything. Yeah, right.
That suddenly broke.
Still am, Karen. Still am. But talking about that, about how kids feel about their parents. Across the street from me is a family that lives over there, and they have 3 little girls, and they're just little sweethearts. And the one little girl is about the same age as Elena, and she's she comes by, they're on the rollerblades or whatever. She always come by and high five me and stuff. And Elena saw this, and she did this number. And she on her little rollerblades comes up to me and she goes, "Are you trying to replace me?" Dude, I was like in fear for my life at the moment. So I'm like,
yeah,
this little kid's gonna shank me right
now. Don't you say that about Elena. She's beautiful.
Oh, she's a sweetheart.
She may be dangerous, but she's beautiful.
Yeah.
My dad treats my girls so different.
Right, yeah. Right? Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. That's how dad was, to the point. I remember when Ron Jr. was probably, late teens, early 20s, maybe not even that, late teens. And we were out there visiting, and I took Dad's Harley for a ride, and Ron's like, I'd like to ride it. And we're like, do you know how to ride a motorcycle? Oh, yeah. He took off about 3 houses down, went up through the yard, around a tree. And Dad and I are just standing there like, and Dad just gets back. Dad's like, "Oh, okay, that was a good job, son. Good job, son. We'll try it next time." Me, he would have yanked me off of that bike, paddled my ass, and set me in my room for a month.
Well, see, now that you share that story, it just, I'm sorry, Daddy, you're pissing me off already. Yeah, Daddy had a Yamaha Virago, and he bought it brand new. And so he actually let me take it for a spin. I snuck it out one time. He didn't know. Then he let me take it for a ride, and then he let Carolyn and I take it for a ride, which I thought was, kind of unique. But he would stand there and watch carefully, and he'd come back. Well, you didn't shift this. I mean, he had something bad to say about it. And
it's all constructive criticism, Mike.
Well, yeah. But then you told me the story about the Harley, which I now own. And I'm thinking,
well, now you know where it's been.
This old man? Where was? Yeah, exactly. It's going to be like the Ducksters.
Yeah, don't get started on that again, please.
Now I know the story of the Ducksters.
The truth shall set you
free. Your mortality. When did you become aware of it? That's kind of the sort of what we're talking about tonight, and other things. It didn't have to stay there. Matt, that was me on your motorcycle on Scenic.
Oh my God! Yes,
across the street.
Oops. Yes. Yeah. I remember. Yeah.
Well, that ties into mortality. Then
I had a little Honda Enduro or some little POS 250 something or other, and yeah. Yeah, between that and the Ducksters, Matt was not meant to ride motorcycles.
Apparently not. 2 or 3 wheels. You better stick with those 4-door covered wagons, man.
Amen, right?
Them other ones are trying to kill you.
Oh, man.
Nope. He's not meant for them. So make sure you do the same. If you're on board with us right now, we got a few out there. Do the same thing. Shoot us a comment. Let us know you're here. Jump on board and take part, man. Your mortality. Yeah, we're talking about it, but we're also, just as Ronnie likes to say, chopping it up. I really love the thought of when you think back to when you're 12, 13 years old, and you just knew tomorrow was coming. You planned for tomorrow. Hell, you planned for 2-3 days later.
Absolutely.
Because there's shit on your calendar. You have to take care of it. Now I've reached a point in my life where I'm making plans, but I don't plan out much more than 2 or 3 days because I don't know what's going to happen.
You know what I relate that to, Mike? When I was younger and didn't have the means that I do now, I remember driving these old POS cars that I used to have, and I would never put more than a quarter of tank of gas in it because I didn't know how long it was going to run.
Oh God!
So when you say you plan for things and now you plan differently, yeah, that's how I plan for my car. It's like shit. I don't know if it's going to last a day, a week, a month. So I'm not putting more than a quarter. If I fill it up and it tomorrow, I just screwed myself with $30.
Stay together. Hold on, we're almost home. LOL. I forgot about that.
But see, Rich, that's the whole premise behind what Mike and I do. It's to jog
those memories, baby.
It's just that right there. Oh my God, I totally forgot about that. And those are such great aha moments, where you sit there and it's just, boom, oh my God, I totally forgot. And what that will do is, as we've seen it happen here live, is then that'll kickstart another conversation and then another conversation.
Yeah. It often, that's pretty much how this podcast goes from time to time. We'll start with a topic. Do we stay on it? Generally not.
I think this is the longest we've talked about one topic in the last 6 months. Almost died right.
I think.
Like Mike said, stick with those four-wheeled covered wagons.
Better stick with something that protects you there, Matt. He just ain't made for them 2 or 3 wheelers.
Hell, I'm surprised the guy could drive a stick shift.
Poor Matt.
Well, I told that story when Matt about killed us when Aunt Linda had that little Datsun, what was it, B210 or whatever the hell that little thing was. Yeah. Yeah. So that's how Matt learned how to drive a stick shift. And we were all in the car. Matt was driving, Aunt Linda was in the passenger seat. There was me and somebody else in the back seat. And this dude's driving and like heading toward like this embankment or something. And he does this number. Well, where's second gear? And we're all like, it was literally a scene from a movie, Mike. It was freaking hilarious.
Eyes on the road. Eyes on the road.
So again, you talking about mortality. Well, shit, that could have ended all of us right there.
Matt says it was a Toyota Corolla.
There you go.
Yeah, that's the one I
coasted. I'm sure you remember that.
I coasted that rascal from about Cascade up around Green Mountain Falls all the way down into Colorado Springs. Put it in neutral and coasted her all the way, baby. It was fun. I think we came close to getting it on 2 wheels at one time. Sorry, Aunt Linda. She's, they're all watching us right now. All right. So still about 2 or 3 minutes for you to get online here with us if you're joining us. And even for those, here's the other thing. If you, because I know this happens quite a bit, those that watch after we get done with the show, if you watch in the next day or two, whatever the case may be, you can still leave comments. We still get them. We still see them. Share it. We'd love to know what you think. But again, the idea of this is it's multifold. It's to for us to get around, sit around and jog loose some of the old memories, share some of the things we've shared tonight. But also, I hope it inspires the Gen Z, Gen Y, and whatever they're calling the other ones, for them to do the same thing, man. It's this is going to be you in another 30, 40 years, kids. So,
but Mike, they have the one thing that we didn't have back then, which is social media. And I have to say, I'm almost, I hate to use the word appreciative, but it's nice when I see these things pop up, hey, this is from 5 years ago, from 10 years ago, from 15 years ago, because I'll see those and I'll be like, oh man, I remember that. That was our trip to Puerto Rico. Oh, I remember that. That was the day I was, doing this, or, hey, oh God, look how young the kids look in that picture, Yeah. So they definitely have that over us. But I'll tell you the one thing that we have that they'll never have, Mike, are the experience and the life that we lived growing up in the 60s, 70s.
Isn't that the truth?
Oh my God, dude.
Hey, Cliffy, how are you, brother? Love you. And thank you for tuning in. Cliffy is a boy, he's a story unto himself.
Oh, do tell.
No, I don't have time. But I'll need to get Cliffy is he's just he's a success story that does need to be told. Maybe I need to write that book.
There you go.
So anyway, speaking of which, I'm going to do a selfless plug. So let's go outside and throw shit at each other. This is the actual book. I was able to get my hands on some of the actual books. This is the revised version, so I hope everybody gets those. You can get them online now at Kindle Publishing, Amazon. I think they're like $8. And I know Matt bought a few. Kenny bought a couple. If you would do me a giant favor, Dan Shanahan has some.
His name I haven't heard in 100 years.
So if you wouldn't mind, because I'm already writing the second one, it's going to be way bigger than this one. If you wouldn't mind, leave a comment on that site when you go to purchase the book. Please leave a comment what you thought of the book. I don't care what you think of it, but if you leave a comment, that would be outstanding. Just let me know what you think of it. It's a short read. You can read it in about an hour. I feel like I'm ripping people off for $8 when you can sit down and read this thing. It may be about a 2-hour read. The next one's going to be quite a bit. It already is way bigger, way longer. But no, Cliffy, I've known Cliffy for, Cliff, how long? 15 years, if not more than that, probably close to 20. And Cliffy right now is the production director. Cliff, is that right? At the Buddy Holly Hall in Lubbock, and the joint's beautiful.
Nice.
They do some wonderful shows down there, and Cliff is the one that turned me on to actually to see a cat that I've always wanted to see, and I thank God I was able to get it in. Peter Frampton.
Nice.
Did a wonderful night. I think it was Cliffy. Was it Buddy's? Was it his 75th birthday? Is what would have been one of Buddy Holly's birthdays, and some of the original, what's left of the Connection to the Crickets and a few others were there to play, but Frampton was there, and it was totally unannounced. So,
wow.
It was. I became. Carolyn will tell you, I became a 16-year-old that night. Man, it was. He only played one or two tunes, but I loved it. Let me get through these here real quick. Cliffy's LOL. Yeah, I'd say about 16, 17 years. He is the production manager for the Buddy Holly Hall. And it was 85th birthday. Thank you, Cliff.
Would have been 85.
Yeah. So
well, speaking of 85, I was telling Mike off stage earlier, I have a uncle in a roundabout way that lives here in Vegas, and he's I think 82 or 83 years old. And a couple of years ago, we were out playing golf. Dude still plays golf every Sunday. Works out every day. Good for him. Yep. And I asked him, I'm like, Uncle Fred, so I don't mean to be the morbid dick of the group here, but what does it feel like being that close to death? And he kind of stopped for a second and then looked at me. He goes, you know what, Ron? He goes, when you get to this stage of it, it really doesn't bother you as much as it does when you're younger. And
maybe that's what happens.
I kind of had to sit back and think about that for a minute. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I can see that. Because Mike, I'm going to tell you something. I don't know if you don't want me to tell anybody or not, but you used to have some big fears of death. I remember you used to have some like straight up panic attacks.
Scared shitless of it. Yeah. Oh yeah.
But here's the thing, my father-in-law always says, if you don't get old, you never know you made it. And that kind of goes into correlation with that. The older you get, I think you kind of get some sort of weird acceptance of the fact that your mortality is in check and it's coming up pretty quick. But at our age now, we know it's coming. But dude, I'm not ready. I'm not afraid of it. But I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I got a lot of years left in this guy.
I think mine was connected to the spleen deal.
Could be. For those of you who don't know, Mike lost his spleen when he was like what, 17?
15 or 16.
16, yeah.
Yeah. And
for like 20 years.
But it was Yeah, if you don't know, you have to look up a spleen. It has to do with your immune system. But yeah, as I got older, I went through every incarnation of anything that ended with "cillin," and then your body just sort of starts to laugh at it after a while. Look here, watch this shit. We're going to go a little long tonight because this one's outstanding. Ready?
You're damn right it was your fault.
Not only did he fucking rupture my spleen, years later he would shatter my ankle.
Oh, gee.
We were playing a pickup game of football. So I got like 3 guys on my back, and they're all, they spun me around, but my leg was stuck, and I hear this crack. I mean, you could hear it snap.
Oh,
so I actually tried to walk it off. No, she was broken in 2 spots, baby. But yeah, we were horsing around in the basement of Aunt Linda's house. We were playing indoor football, and yeah, this is our cousin Roger. This is Matt's brother, and I love him. He
Big
is.
Rog.
Love to talk about him. This is an influencer right here.
Amen.
And but yeah, we were farting around and I ended up rupturing my spleen. But I think that's what why I went through that time of I just feared everything. I actually suffered from it's called SAD, seasonal attitude disorder, and it always struck around wintertime when everything goes dormant. I would have to be near lights. It was just really strange, but thank God I worked out of that one.
Well, Raj, we were open hours in the morning. Yes, absolutely, man. I will tell you my morning routine. I wake up. I'm an early riser. I usually get up around 4 o'clock in the morning, and I slide my body onto the side of the bed, and I sit and I do this on the floor with my feet for about a minute or two, just to get some blood flowing, and and then I lean forward to the dresser and stand up.
Oh God!
But yeah, it's like starting a diesel motor. You gotta wait for the glow plug to come on, and then you can get to going. So the nail clippers to the face from Rod seem. Oh yeah. Roger seems to be just a weapon of mass destruction.
Well, if he's not rupturing something or breaking something, I would consider it a win. So if you got nail clippers to the face and it didn't leave a scar, that's a win.
You're a win. Win-win.
See, Roger, I feel bad. No, you don't. Don't lie.
But you know what, Roger? I will tell you, I remember that day. And
don't lie.
I think you were, if I remember correctly, you were chasing me and Matt, and we kind of did that whole duck and curl up and trip the guy behind you move. And I think that's what hurled Roger into Mike, because Mike was laying there on the ground. And
just crushed me, man.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we're going to have to fabricate it, because I think in the new book I'm writing, I say we're playing football downstairs, and we were like having our own private Super Bowl.
I think that as far as I remember, that's what it was. He was chasing us, man. Hey, Raj, when Mike says you're an inspiration, an influencer, I mean, here's a guy that, yeah, Roger lost his leg, unfortunately, to some issues. But you know what? The guy still plays drums better than anybody I know. And
he's the best.
I could listen to him all day long. Just PTSD. I'll never clip my nails the same again, man. Raj kicked me in the face one time. He said,
I didn't know I could kick that high. That was awesome.
That is what happened. Yeah, see, I knew that's what happened. I remember that. It's so funny.
Well, I have to go back and fix that part of the book.
You and I talk about how you walked in the kitchen and forgot what you're in there for.
Yeah.
I can remember that shit that happened back 45 years ago, but I can't remember what I did yesterday.
Isn't that some shit?
It's bullshit.
I hate that. I hate that.
It's bullshit.
I can remember some stuff vividly. Now, in the new book, I am having to call. I've had to reach out to Kenny 2 or 3 times. I've had to ask Steve Mann 3 or 4 times about some clarification on things. Now Roger's fixed some things. I clearly need to go back and rewrite this book, because I don't remember anything.
Check with me, Mike. I know everything.
Yeah. I'll have to get a hold of you. All right. Well, there you go. Okay.
So, in closing, again, Mike was saying, you guys watch this afterwards. Like, I know Michelle's uncle Jack. Hi, Jack. Say everybody hi to Jack in Montana. He
Hi, Jack.
watches on
Things you
Saturday.
never want to say on an airplane. Hi, Jack.
Yeah. Yeah. Hi, Jack. If your Uncle Jack helped you off an elephant. But anyway, so Jack told me, he's like, yeah, he goes, that's my Saturday morning. I get my coffee together and I sit and I watch Are You Shitting Me? TMI, the podcast on YouTube every Saturday morning.
I think Uncle Ken does the same thing.
As Mike said, you can still leave. Hi, Jack. You can still leave comments when you watch it later on. And what I would like to have to everybody that's on here right now, especially, make a comment. Tell us what you guys would like to talk about. Tell us some of the things that help to, jog your memory, that bring joy to your life, or as Mike says, puts color on your canvas. Being as we're from the 60s and 70s, what thoughts go through your head that take you back to those days?
Right.
Hi, Jack.
There you go.
Bombardier.
All right. So is that it for tonight?
I don't know. I'm thinking so. What else you got? You got anything to close with? Anything good? Funny story? Funny joke?
No, I got nothing funny.
No, I wouldn't say that.
That's odd. How come I can't think of anything? Usually I'm a walking, and it doesn't matter because I'm at the age that no matter what I share, you probably heard it 8 times. Just always pretend like it's the first time you heard it. That would make me happy.
Is that so? I have to ask you said something that just really makes me think. Does that happen to all old people? Do you tell the same fucking story time and time again? Seriously?
Yeah.
Is that what we're subject to?
I have to be honest with you. Even I recognize, and I'm not shitting you here, even though it's are you shitting me? Between the radio show and this podcast, and then conversations I just have, during the week, I literally have to ask myself, did I already talk about this? Did I already say something about this? And then I'll start. Carolyn, and I have been married for over 40 years. And she has reached the point now where she just sort of placates me because I know damn good well I probably have shared whatever I'm sharing with her once before. The truth is I probably have shared the story 20,000 times, and she always pretends it's the first time she heard it. So yeah, I don't know why it does. It just happens.
My wife that trick
to pretend and everything, Ron.
Because I'm the same way, Mike. I'll start to tell a story, and my mind will be like, "Did I tell her this already?" Because I literally don't remember. You guys are doing what, Karen?
We're just sitting here. We're just yakking.
What do we do?
We become our parents. Remember what they did and look out. Yeah. Oh, look here. Here's a stranger.
Oh, look, there's Uncle Ken. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Karen's like, you guys you remember. What do we do? What happened?
See?
Hi, Uncle Ken. Long time no see. How are you?
And I'm probably going to head down there to go see him here real soon.
Well, we need to get Uncle Ken involved in our guys group, our guys trip. So
absolutely.
Yeah. All Roger, right. Are you in for the guys trip?
Roger's always down.
All right, you guys. Well, as usual, thank you so much. God bless you all for being here tonight. Mike, I love you so much. Thank you.
Love you, brother.
I do have one last thing to say.
What do you got?
And don't take this the wrong way, Mike. When I brought this up to Mike about doing this podcast with me, as we've talked about, Mike really didn't want to do it. But I will say unequivocally, without a doubt, doing this with you has been such a blessing for our relationship with each other.
Don't you think?
No, it is. And I will tell everybody here, our dad, Archie, his literally dying wishes were that Mike and I were to do something together, preferably business wise, but we live in 2 different states. We do 2 different things. So this helps put together one of the things that Dad wanted to see. And I honestly, from the bottom of my heart, Mike, I can't tell you how much I appreciate it.
Same here. And you just said it. I can't add a damn thing to that one. It is I believe he is looking down on us right now, and he's literally knowing, Dad, it's about damn time.
I was just gonna say the same fucking thing. It's about damn time, boy.
About time. Exactly. Got to throw the boy in there. About damn time, boy.
Oh shit. Well, all right, you guys. Thank you so much,
Well,
Mike. Have a good evening. Love you guys.
right back at you. We'll see you next week, guys. Same time, same place. We'll try to do promos next time. How's that?
Woo!
God bless you all. Take care.